it's my absolute pleasure to bring up our next speaker, and we are moving on to our next session that will help you find the A-list. And now I can't see, guys. You've dimmed the lights on me. Be nice to read, thanks. I can't see in the dark, unfortunately. Moving on to our next session that's going to help you find an A-list of sales mavericks for your company and your clients. Please welcome up to the stage our first keynote speaker of the event, Kathryn Tickner. She is the founder and CEO of Impact School, and she's going to be discussing the codes to building a multi-million-dollar sales team. Please welcome Kathryn to the stage.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. So, who here is the founder of a company or an agency? Okay, so there's a lot of founders in here. So, as a founder, if you stopped doing sales for your business, my question to you would be, what would happen? Would you be still bringing in revenue? And would you be still bringing in new clients? Because today what I want to talk about is the codes to building a multi-million-dollar sales team. So I'm the founder and CEO of a company, a consulting agency, and my company is, I'm very grateful to be in a position whereby sales are consistently happening without me needing to be there. So does this sound familiar? So maybe when you have spoken to leads in the past and you pass them through to your sales team, they say, oh, well, I want to speak to you. I want to speak to the owner. And then maybe in the past, you've tried to bring on some salespeople and they say, well, it's just so much easier for you to sell because you're the owner of the company. Does that sound familiar? So I want to talk about today, how I came up with this concept. And it really is about building a powerhouse sales team. And this may look familiar for some of you guys, your ad account being shut down on Facebook. So I had to try everything to bring in sales without having marketing. Because this is a marketing conference, right? So you're going to know exactly how to get all the leads in the world. So what are we going to do with all those leads now you have them? So I literally tried everything. I tried organic content. I tried outsourcing my sales. I tried outsourcing my marketing to tons of different agencies. But nothing was working at the beginning until I jumped back in, okay? Until I jumped in and did it all myself. And this is a few years ago now, but as soon as I tried to get other people to do it, no one could do the sales as well as I could. And so this was a huge problem for me because I thought, I'm never going to be able to actually take a proper vacation because while I was traveling, I was still having to work 16 hours a day. And that wasn't the life that I wanted to live. So I hired and fired more than 250 sales and marketing people over the past few years. And then finally, I cracked the codes. Okay, and so the strategy that worked for me is what I'm going to share with you here today. But the strategy that I used was all of my marketing. For me, that was organic content. I just found that the ads and such that I was trying to do, it wasn't working. So I had organic content, and I added salespeople to my marketing. And this is what worked really nicely. So for example, the content that you're posting, people that are liking the content, having a salesperson, an outbound sales rep, reaching out to those people and starting the conversation to then book a sales call onto their own calendar. We found that that was much more effective than having virtual assistants there setting calls for closers. We found it way better to bring an actual salesperson in to then have these conversations, set the call on their own calendar. Simultaneously, all of the opt-in forms that you have when it comes to different funnels that you're running to drive traffic, right? Any ads that you're running to like a free training or an ebook or a free report, then instead of just grabbing people's emails addresses, also adding a very simple phone number opt-in so that then that can then be passed through. We were just speaking about CRMs, right? On the CRM to an outbound sales rep who then phones up those leads who don't go ahead and book in sales calls for themselves. And we found this a really, really great way to ensure that this is like a safety net, right? So for anyone where the marketing isn't pushing them along, the salesperson then comes in as a human and has that intimate touch, which then allows you to actually scale a level of intimacy, which allows you to stand out from the competition. So I wanted to just give a bit of a background regarding the strategy that I have been using over the last 2 to 3 years that's been really, really effective, despite all the changes that are going on in the world, before I move into the codes to building a multi-million-dollar sales team, okay? So here's just a quick example from a tweet that I posted on my own Twitter. So, well, my team posted that, but then look, you can see here that 397 people at the time of the screenshot had actually responded to the tweet. So then we just set up a really simple automation so that anyone that replies to the tweet saying me, they then get a DM, right? They have to be following for this to work. They then get a DM and then they get the freebie, okay? That could be it. They go to the funnel, they maybe watch the video themselves, and they maybe sign up for a sales call all by themselves. But I know that that's probably about like 2% of people, right, based upon the numbers, and I don't want that number. That's too low for me. So instead, we have a team who then have a conversation, right? So they have it's not following a script. We have a very simple framework. The framework is win, okay? What is it? What is the person's goal or struggle? The I is investigate, so just find out a little bit more about the goal or the struggle that they had mentioned, and then the N is numbers, to turn it into a reality, so it makes them really feel the problem. Okay, so that's just a very simple framework that we would go through, but before we even get there, we would ask some open-ended questions to get the prospect to open up. So now that I've been through that, the codes for the sales team really allowed me to ensure that I could acquire and retain top talent. Again, a virtual assistant, a VA based out in the Philippines, that is not top talent when it comes to bringing in revenue for your business, okay? I'm really talking about quality salespeople who want to be making hundreds and thousands per year. Simultaneously, it's going to allow you to, at the very least, double the amount of sales calls that you are getting every single week, every single day, every single month. And on top of that, it will allow you to keep your sales calendar full. So does that sound good? That sounds like something that you want? Okay, brilliant, cool. So for the logical people, right, who might not be convinced and might still think, but no one can do sales as good as me, okay? Let's do some numbers, right? So let's just say you had 3 sales specialists on your team. Maybe right now, for you, that seems a lot. But let's say 24 months has gone by. Again, we're being really conservative here. 24 months goes by. 2 years from now, you have 3 sales specialists. And let's just say they're hitting pretty low performance every day, and they're only booking 5 sales calls per day for themselves. Remember, this doesn't include inbound calls that would already be getting set onto your calendar, okay? So 5 per day. That's 15 more sales calls every day. Does that sound nice? Sounds good, right? Okay, so let's say you have 15 calls and then there's 5 days a week. That's 75 calls additionally every single week to allow you to actually grow your business. So let's say you have a 40% close rate, okay? As a business owner, I know you probably close like 80, 90% because it's you, right? But when it's your sales team, these are leads that wouldn't otherwise have a conversation with you because you wouldn't have time to speak to all these people. So 40% close rate, that's 28.5 deals a week, okay? And then from there, let's say, for simplicity's sake, you're selling some lead generation package, an agency offer for $10K US dollars. That would be $285,000, and let's say you collect 30% of that upfront, okay? That's $85.5K additionally every week. So 1.14 million US dollars less monthly revenue without the sales team codes. So who's convinced that this is something that might be a nice idea for you to add to your business, right? So I want to ask you, how much do you feel like you're leaving on the table without having a quality sales team in your business? So I want to first go over the codes for a successful salesperson. So conviction, obsession, dedication, ethical, and salesperson. So first things first, conviction, okay? Your sales team need to truly believe in what it is that you do as a company. I can't tell you how many people I've had to let go because they just didn't fully believe in what we were doing. They were more obsessed with, like, let's say it was fitness, right? And they would have been better at a company that's all about fitness, right? If the people on your team don't truly believe in what it is that you do, when they are on a call or an interview with a potential client, they are not going to do everything that it takes to ensure that that person gets the support that they need. And sometimes, as a business owner, this means that you need to make strategic decisions to maybe even add more value to what you're doing. Because sometimes top talent, if what you're doing isn't a top offering, top talent aren't going to want to work for that because they need to know that what you do really is going to do what it says. Okay? So they have to be convicted. So a quick little tip that we do for every person who is on our sales team before we even get into any of the training is we talk them through between 5 to 8 case studies of clients of ours, so that after they've been through those case studies, they can start telling us back as to why they love what we do at Impact School, so that then we know for sure that they're really bought in for everything that we do, okay? The second thing is obsession. So when you're a salesperson who's just being handed, leads coming to you, just booked on your calendar, it's really easy, you might just take as many calls every single day because you know tomorrow your calendar's gonna be booked again. But when you're also an outbound salesperson in the beginning, I like to see outbound salespeople start from the bottom and put in all the hustle to book their own calendar and to close their own deals, because I know then they're gonna do whatever it takes. So as a business owner, I can't tell you how many times I myself have stayed up for hours and hours and hours. Let's say I'm having a few different conversations with potential clients. You'll go to dinners, you'll go here, you'll fly around the world maybe to do all this stuff. I want to see salespeople that are willing to do that too. So obsession is a character trait that we screen for in the interview process, because we know that if they are obsessed, they are going to always ensure that they're never gonna leave leads on the table or just burn through leads, because that's a dangerous place to be when you're spending money in your marketing or spending time on your organic marketing to bring in those leads, right? So the next thing is dedication, right? So I don't want a salesperson who is working for other companies. I want someone that is fully committed to my company, and I want to ensure that they are going to be with me for the long run. When you're spending so much time on training someone, it's a real shame if they just come to you just because they want to make a bit of quick cash and then they're going to leave. So this is something that we really, really look for: people who are dedicated to their job and who really love what they do, right? It's a personality trait. So one of the big red flags when someone comes to me and they say in the interview process, oh yeah, like next year I'm thinking about going traveling for the year and taking a year off. That's not something that I want. I want someone that is ideally going to be with me for years, and ethical. Okay, when you train people correctly on sales and they know how to sell, it's just like marketing, right? When you're a good marketer, you can use it for good or you can use it for evil. So you want to ensure that the salespeople are extremely, extremely ethical. So again, in the interview process, when you're hiring these people, ask them questions that are going to get them to reveal their true ethics and their true morals, so that you can see if this is someone that is in alignment with your values. And finally, a salesperson. So maybe it's just the business that I'm in, but if anyone else here has an agency or a consulting company, oftentimes people who know about what you do, who eventually want to have their own business. I'm in business consulting, right? So people come to us and they're like, yeah, I want to come work for you as a salesperson for a few years, learn exactly what you do, and then I want my own business. And I'm like, well, that's exactly why we have a program showing people how to do that, okay? So it really comes down to ensuring that the people who come onto your sales team are actually salespeople. So not people that have been working in real estate in Dubai for the last 5 years and now want to give this a bit of a dabble. I'm talking salespeople who have experience in your industry, in your niche, and again, who have conviction in what it is that you do. So if anyone here, does anyone here do social media stuff for like their own personal brand? Yes, so this is where you have to be really careful, because you're gonna have some super fans who wanna come work on your sales team just to get close to you. So for me personally, for example, I'm not even involved in the hiring process for my sales team, just because people get the wrong end of the stick and they think, oh, well, I can come and talk to Lauren, this is so exciting, right? And so again, it's just setting those boundaries for yourself and making sure that these are indeed salespeople. So now that we've been through the codes for a successful salesperson, let's talk about how to actually combine this all together into a successful sales team, so that you can have confidence that this group of people are able to consistently bring in new revenue to your business without everything falling back on you, okay? So first of all, competitive compensation, onboarding, daily training and accountability, engagement, and a system. All right, so I'll take these through one by one again, like I just did. So competitive compensation. So for a good salesperson who is, again, really committed, really obsessed, really dedicated, ethical, and an actual salesperson, they are going to want to be making a lot of money. Most really great salespeople, they have very big goals, and I like that, because the more money that they make for themselves, the more money they make for my company, so that's great. So we pay on commission only. This has been what we have found to be the best. I was actually talking to one of my clients the other day, and she said how she was paying some huge base salary to one of her salespeople, and then his performance just totally tanked, right? Before, he was on commission only, he was hustling, he was doing a great job, and then when he swapped to this she swapped to this way of paying, it just didn't work anymore. So just as an example here, so for our outbound and for our inbound sales specialists, the difference is the outbound are the ones that will dial up people that opt into funnels, and they're the ones that are DMing on social media. Inbound are our more qualified and senior salespeople who get calls booked directly onto their calendar when our prospects just book by themselves, right, from an email blast or whatever. So we aim for them to be making, when they're hitting minimum KPIs, they're going to be hitting $9,000 every single month, right? That's like totally bare minimum, and that's if they collect 100K. Not just like in contractual value, but individual salespeople collecting 100K US dollar, right? So just to give you some type of clarity about what is actually competitive, again, this is in my industry, so if you are in, a totally different industry, like investment banking or something, maybe it's gonna be higher, right? Just as an example. So just look at what else is going on in your industry and aim to pay at least 1.5x the average. Because then you're going to get the best people, and that's what you want, right? This is sales. This is money coming into your business. We want the best. So the second thing would be onboarding. So making sure that you actually onboard your salespeople. So I don't know if anyone in the past has ever just hired a salesperson and then just chucked a list of leads at them, but my very first job, when I worked at an influencer marketing agency, they did this to me, and I didn't even know that I was going to be a salesperson, right? I just thought I was going to be an account manager. And so this was one of the weirdest things that ever happened, and it made me realize why onboarding is so important. So it's quite unclear, but we literally break it down day by day. So day one is all about the prospect, it's all about the case studies. Day two is all about how we work as a team. Day three is really all about like specifics to do with sales, the system that we use, our frameworks that we've come up with over the years that we know convert successfully into clients, right? So having a really clear onboarding process, for anyone that's wondering, we just use Notion. I love Notion, it's great. Not paid to say that, just FYI, but it's awesome. We do everything there, and then we can have them, comment and give us their feedback and any questions all in one place. It just means that we aren't constantly messaging back and forth on Slack or WhatsApp, because that is chaotic as heck. Next after that is daily training and accountability. So we have a sales coach on our team who is specifically supporting our sales team in improving their performance. So this isn't a sales manager. Sales manager is the person who's looking at all the numbers and tracking all of that. The sales coach is doing daily training. So sales calls, reviewing them, giving feedback to the sales team. Again, in the beginning, this will be you as the business owner doing all of this. But this pays absolute dividends, because if it means that they're going to bring in one extra sale per week for your business, then that's a lot of additional revenue. So I would say this is one of the best possible uses of your time. I personally still spend a good amount of time doing this myself in my business, because I know that when I ensure that people are trained really, really well, then again, they're going to be bringing in more. And then just morning and evening huddles. This is just a 5-minute call whereby everyone just goes through, in the morning we just go through a client testimonial, get everyone pumped for the day. My team is over 11 different time zones, so for some people it's actually not the morning, but it's okay, it still kind of keeps everything top of mind for them. And then every salesperson mentions a lead that they need help with, so that then the sales coach can actually help with that. End of day huddle is simple. We just talk about, total revenue, cash collected, number of people that they told the price of the specific package, number of people that we made an offer to, and number of calls that they had that day. These are just the numbers that they're reporting. But the biggest one that I'm looking for is the cash collected. And then also the number of calls, because then I can see if they had like 5 sales calls that day and they didn't collect any cash, like there's definitely something going wrong there, so that person needs coaching. Okay? Next up is engagement. So I originally put that photo there when I was speaking at an event in the US. Obviously we're in Dubai, so it's kind of less cool. But we run these cycles of different ways in which they can win prizes on the sales team. So we usually do this in like a 4 to 6 week cycle. So whoever can collect the most cash within the next 5 weeks is going to win a trip to Dubai for them and their partner. Just as an example, okay? As a sales team, if we hit this much in cash collected, everyone is going to get a trip to, I don't know, South Africa, as an example. So we run these different competitions to keep the sales team engaged. Even if you only have a small sales team of like 2 or 3 people, this is so powerful, because again, like if they're collecting for your company an additional $200K US, and then you pay $5K to take them to South Africa, like that's nothing, right? That's amazing for you. And they're gonna talk about that, they're gonna love your company even more, and they're going to want to perform for you. I used to be really hesitant to do these types of things because I thought, but I need them working every hour of the day. But actually this is some of the best way to bring in huge amounts of extra revenue for your business and ensure that all the marketing that you're doing is actually effective, because leads aren't just sat there going cold. That's one of the worst things that can happen, right? Next up, obviously, you need a system. So you need a system that you know is converting consistently leads into clients. So again, I was in the trenches, like in my Instagram DMs for years figuring this out. Okay? So you have to figure out what works best for your business and what works best for your prospects, because arguably you know your prospects better than anybody else does. So what can you, like, how do you need to talk to people? Like very fine things, like small little tweaks, such as the tonality that you use, right? Sending like small little messages rather than big chunks of text. These are all things that need to be in your system that then you provide to your sales team that they then give you feedback on consistently, because they're the ones in the trenches, right? So we have one for interview process and DM process. And then next after that is getting everyone on your team trained in sales. So a $50K USD paid in full package, this was from one of my client success team, right? This was from a retention offering. So this wasn't even someone who is doing sales every single day. And the reason I bring this up is because sometimes in our companies, we can think so specifically like, okay, sales, marketing, client success. However, I like to ensure that everyone in my business is trained on sales, because let's say they are randomly shopping in the supermarket and they get talking to somebody and the person is a dream client of yours. Well, I don't want that to then just go to waste. I want whoever it is on my team to then be like, oh, no way. Well, actually, that's exactly what we do for business, and then get the conversation going, and that person could become a client, or then they can easily upsell people or retain them into bigger packages in your business. So just as a recap, there are 2 codes for ensuring that you have a sales team that can make millions and millions without you needing to do all the sales as the founder and CEO. So you want them to have conviction in what it is that you do. You want them to be obsessed, dedicated, ethical, and actually a salesperson, okay? And then when it comes to your sales team, competitive compensation. Make sure that they can make a lot of money at your company. But in order for them to be able to do that, you can't just chuck them in the deep end randomly, right? You need to onboard them so that then they can be set up for success. You need to give them daily training, daily accountability, making sure that they are staying engaged by running short-term competitions, 4 to 6 week intervals, and then giving them a system that will allow them to be successful. So we have a few minutes left here at the end, so if anybody has any questions about that, yeah, I'd be happy to answer them, and thank you so much. So here we can connect on social, and yeah, I'd love to answer. Yeah.
I'm Venki, and I run a digital marketing agency myself. And I heard of a lot of what you spoke right now. It makes a lot of sense. But the challenge really is marketing, especially digital marketing, isn't like, selling a product, right? There's a lot more thinking that goes into that. And that's really where I was wondering, how much of strategy does your sales team actually, have? And how do they go back and close a client?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things there. The first thing, whenever I hear a question like this, and we have a lot of marketing agencies and sales agencies as clients of ours, right? The biggest thing, the first change that we usually make is that marketing agencies typically do far too many things. So they'll have web design, and they'll have social media, and they'll have PPC, and then they'll have social media ads, and all these different offers, and I get it, right? Because I also, a few years ago, I had a lead gen agency myself before I fused everything all together into one company, right? And you need to, the way that I see the industry shifting right now, especially in agency consulting, is that it's all shifting together as one, right? So let's say you decide that you want to just double down on like Facebook ads, right? Or YouTube ads as an example, TikTok, whatever. Then you obviously at the same time need to give some consulting to the client, right? Because if you're just going to run ads and they have a terrible offer, then they're never going to get results. So to your point, one of the ways in which you can ensure a sales team is successful is simplifying things, right? And then the way that we did it, so I like to survey my clients. Surveying your clients is one of the most powerful things. And if you ask them this question, you can say, okay, if you had to pick just one thing that we do at my company that you just wouldn't want to get rid of, what would it be? And then you want to correlate the answers with your favorite clients, clients that pay on time, clients that send the most referrals, clients that also or have been with you for the longest and spent the most money with you. Look at what they're saying, right? So to your point, I really think it comes down to just ensuring that you have a more simplified offering.
Sure, understood. But does that mean that you package stuff better and sort of like compartmentalize it rather than going into, giving like an integrated solution to a client, or how does that work?
So I'm
For you personally, not
so I'm a huge, we only really have one offering that we sell on the front end, and then we have one on the back end, right? So literally it's super simple. I used to have loads of different stuff. Obviously I had an agency, courses, coaching, consulting, everything. But we've just found that we can get better results like that. And then as you're scaling beyond just you, because you know everything in your head, right? You know immediately, okay, they need this, and then you can package it up. But that takes a lot of time, right? You build a proposal, it's so much back and forth. We normally take one call and close them, and they most of the time pay in full, right? And this is like tens and tens of thousands of US dollar, just for some context. But that's purely because it's just totally simplified. Does that make sense?
Fair. Makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Any more? Would you like to come up to the microphone, please? Thank you so much.
Hey Lauren, thank you so much for the keynote. Very helpful. Very helpful. So you mentioned lots of codes for a successful salesperson. So I find it kind of overwhelming to kind of look for that person.
Yeah.
Has like the characters that you mentioned, like the conviction, obsession, ethical, and most importantly, a salesperson. So can you give us like a pointers, or where do you usually look for people who kind of fits in, or fits into these codes that you mentioned?
Some of the best people that we have found has been honestly from Facebook groups. So training academies of like salespeople. So I've had someone from my team go in and join those groups, because if I join, my social media is all like branded up, right? Whereas if my team joins, so someone who's focused on hiring, they join and then they just reach out to people with the offering. Same thing goes when it comes to, you can also use LinkedIn and you can filter people down by sales rep, but I would always ensure that the person that you're hiring has experience in your industry from the past and that they've been successful with it. So one of the things that we do whenever we're hiring salespeople is we have them send us 3 sales call recordings where they've closed the person's paid in full, right? So let's say you're selling, what do you sell?
We do pitch deck design for real estate.
Okay, so like, let's say, what is it design?
Pitch deck.
Pitch deck design.
Yeah, pitch
Okay,
decks.
cool, got it.
Raise millions.
Fine. So for example, like, I mean, real estate, that's great. So if you are ensuring that you're finding people that have a background and a history in real estate high ticket sales, right, then you want to get them to send through some of the calls that they've done, the recordings, and how they presented themselves. So, I mean, I was even looking at one a few weeks ago, and the guy was like 5 minutes late for the call, and in the beginning, he's literally like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm late, I was just on another call. That's really not good, because like you should make the prospect always feel special. Right? And so immediately, I didn't even listen to the rest because he's not working at my company, right? So to your point, those are probably the best places. You'll find there's a lot of great sales talent from real estate who are also marketers and like, can understand the whole world of pitch decks and such from the US. It's a huge market there. So it also comes down to like understanding where is there big groups of people in your industry who are doing this? Like, I know real estate is huge in the US when it comes to really great sales talent. I've got a couple on my team. And so, like, I would go and then find sales training academies whereby people have been, trained by that company.
All right, thank you so much. And quickly, how long does the usual hiring process take?
Good question. I wouldn't rush it. I would say, I mean, the biggest thing that I'd be looking for is like, are they replying to me quickly? And then always with salespeople, one quick tip is we never, ever, ever reply to them in the beginning because we want to see them follow up with us, right? So usually you might want to wait like 2 days, see if they follow up within that time, and then from there continue it. But if they don't follow up, like they're not going to follow up with your leads.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Interesting take, I like that. Any more questions from our audience members? Hi, yeah, thanks.
Hi, my name is Amish, and I work for a B2B company in the marketing department. So in most of the cases, marketing has a different KPI and sales has a different KPI, right? So my question is very simple. How do you bridge that gap between the marketing KPIs and sales KPIs to make sure that you are not leaving your money on the table?
To be honest, I mainly look at sales KPIs rather than marketing KPIs, if I'm just being totally frank, because at the end of the day, you could have like the best, like the lowest cost per click, the lowest everything, but then if it's not converting into cash collected, like it doesn't really matter. So I found typically end to end that the worst marketing KPI tends to become the paid in full client, right? So if I'm honest, I'm actually personally in my business, we aren't really looking at this. But then what we do look at is we look at conversions from a VSL into a sales call. Like that's the biggest thing we look at, because then we know, because our sales team, like we're very on top of ensuring that good salespeople stay on the sales team. So if we're chucking more and more leads into a training or like a free ebook or a free download, if we're chucking more leads in there, and then that's not converting anymore, like for us, then we need to improve, whatever's going on the sales team, right? So if I'm honest, we don't really go super nitty gritty when it comes to that. And I have to say, I think most people overcomplicate things, right? I've just focused on what I feel like I can control the best, which is salespeople closing deals and ensuring that we deliver great results for clients. So maybe that's not the answer you wanted, but for me and for my team, that's allowed us to consistently increase our revenue month on month.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a fantastic presentation. Absolute pleasure. Thank you.